Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, along with my crafty ninjas, Lorraine and Kathy. I like that. Somebody called us crafty ninjas once.
Yeah.
I think that's what it should say on our shirt, the crafty ninjas.
We'll have to get black shirts and bands.
Yeah. Ooh, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I think so. Put your sewing skills to work, ladies. Think of some officials better than my little screen printed t-shirts.
I like these. Question.
Oh, we're the Riddlers.
All right, first question, Darlette Cisnero Becerril. Hi, happy to see you back. Do you have any idea about a product I can use to make paper acid free? Thanks.
Yes, I know of two.
Really?
Whether they're both still, companies are still in business, I'm not sure. But there is, well, I know Krylon's in business, and they have a product called Make It Acid Free. And it's an acid neutralizing spray for like old newspaper clippings and other things like that you want to scrapbook, but may be printed on unsavory materials. And there's also a product called Archival Mist, which I'm not sure if that's still around anymore.
I think I just saw a can of it at one of the
good.
stores.
I think I've seen that recently.
Okay, so Archival Mist is the other one. I think Archival Mist might be more expensive.
It is.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I think so, yeah. And what about what you just did to the pages with the Mod
yes.
Podge?
Yeah, or
I mean, you got it
laminating
on
it.
both sides, right? That would
Yeah.
make it acid free.
Yeah, because really what it is, it's the oxygen that kills the stuff. So if you can seal out the oxygen either by laminating it or brushing it with that, buffering it, that's basically a buffering technique. I've also matted things on cardstock if I want to put it on a scrapbook page, but I'm afraid of whatever the paper is, like a brochure or a flyer or something.
Yeah,
just matting it on cardstock.
Acid free layer in between.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yep, try those. I've used the Make It Acid Free. I don't think I've used Archival Mist, but
Catholic Twerp 7. My question is, when you have a long-term project such as a Hexa puff blanket, how do you not get distracted?
easy. I don't do those types of projects.
What was it called again? A Hexa?
Hexapuff? Hexapuff
I wonder if that's like a
blanket.
crochet. Do you think it's like a crochet thing, or is that a sewing thing?
I'm
Like a quilting
not positive. I think it could be either one. I mean, because I do know they do the little puff quilts, which I would love to do. They just look so, the little biscuit quilt.
Oh,
yeah.
biscuit
They're
quilts.
so
Yeah,
fun.
that might be it.
Well, pick a project that you really like, that you're passionate about, and in colors or something that you like, or that you're going to give it to somebody that you just love and can't wait for them to see it. I think that helps the most.
Yeah, pick something you want to do.
I mean, don't do stuff you don't like.
Yeah, and you're really not gonna like it. Anytime I've tried to knit a sweater, I've been so revolted by the yarn. By the time I'm done, I'll be so sick of the color. I was making this pink. It was like by the time I was done, just like the ribbing, I'm like, God, this looks like Pepto Bismol. I can't stand it. Why did I buy 12 skeins of this color? This is hideous. I turned it into a hat. I was so sick of it. I
remember your sweater hat.
It was awfully big and slouchy.
It looked great.
Had to keep cinching it in.
Another thing, I guess, and this some might think kind of takes the fun out of it or the enjoyment, is kind of scheduling a time to actually work on it. Like one of the teachers for my son, to help him, is like, set aside at 4 o'clock for 20 minutes, you're going to work on this project every day for the next 3 weeks, and do that kind of thing. Put a show in that you like, and set a specific time, and make it, make sure you have your tea or your chocolate milk, or to sit and do it, and make it a good thing, make it a relaxing thing.
Glass of wine.
Do it during Ask a Crafter.
Glass of wine.
Yeah, put the Ask a Crafter on. That's 20 minutes
I
right
don't
there.
do wine.
Try not to spill it
Or
on
in
the
a
project.
glass anyway. I do wine occasionally.
Yeah, I find that if I don't get right to a project and get it in and do it and get it over with, then I lose interest and I don't enjoy it. So if I'm going to do something big, I've got to absorb myself in it for a couple days, work through it straight through, and then be done. Because if I haven't thinking about the project too much, like that coat I was going to line last year, I was at Target yesterday looking at coats, thinking I should buy myself a new coat, and I'm gravitating towards the wool coats, which aren't as nice as the wool coat I have that has the shoddy liner that needs to be replaced. And I have the fabric, and I have the coat. And it's like this is foolish. Why buy a new coat when I've got a nicer coat at home that needs a lining? Because I waited too long and I lost interest in the project.
Yeah, that's no fun to do anyway.
Yeah, so it's I have to, if I have a long-term project, I have to a big project, I have to jump in, do it till it's done, and then be done with it. So even if I enjoy it, still I have to just do it and get it done. I don't like having that hanging over me that I have an unfinished project.
Oh, I got a box of UFOs. Oh my goodness. With sewing and quilting. Oh yes.
I was brought up in that great tradition.
Yeah, you gotta have UFOs around. Brooke Floyd, my question revolves around sprays. I make my own from mixing water and metallic or pearl acrylic paint. The only problem is the paper warps, even if I take care to use my embossing gun to dry them. Is this a normal problem, or do I have too much water in the spray? How can I minimize the bending of the paper? Any ideas are helpful?
Okay, it sounds like if you have to spray so much on there to get the color that you want, you have too much water in your homemade spray. So what you could do is you could dump out some of the spray, maybe in like a mason jar or something where you can go back for it later so you don't waste everything you've made, and then add some more liquid watercolor or re-inker or whatever you're using. Something I find really helps me with this is, I gotta walk around. I got these tiny little spray bottles at Oriental Trading. And because I make my big inks, the colors that I use a lot out of liquid watercolors in my big 4-ounce Paper Mart spray bottles, but like sometimes I want to make a mist that's going to match like stamping a stamp pad that I have, and I'll have like the Stampin' Up! Re-inker, or I'll have the Distress Re-inker, but I don't want to have like 4 ounces of that. I don't want to use that much re-inker. Yeah. So I use these tiny little, I think they're like half an ounce or maybe even less bottles. So I just put the re-inker in a few drops of water, and then I can use it till it's up. I can use all the way to the bottom because the straws go to the bottom, and that way I can keep it concentrated but not feel like I've just, made up so much ink I'll never get through. So if you get one of these tiny little bottles, it's hard to add too much water to it. So I think I would recommend some of those. Those are, you can get the Ranger ones at the craft store. I think it's like $5 or $6 for 3, or these are from Oriental Trading, and they're 6 for $5, I think. So they're about, you get twice as much for the same price. Or you might save like those little spray candy bottles. Like the kids get those spray candy if you have little kids, or ask your friends with kids if they ever get those spray candies to save you the little bottles. You could use those. But so use a smaller bottle so you don't have to mix up a bunch so that you can get to all of it, because sometimes the straws don't go to the bottom. But it sounds like you have too much water in there. So, more color, less water, and just do a light mist from up high so it kind of settles down and you get that fine spray, and your paper shouldn't wrinkle. If it does, and you dry it with your embossing tool, dry the backside too, and that evens out the tension and it helps it dry flatter. I feel like I'm talking fast. I feel like I've been talking fast.
You always.
I know! I'm trying to break the habit. I'm not doing very well. I gotta do it. It's a big project. I gotta get through it. It's just the way I am.
That's just the way
you are. It's just the way I am. I'm just charging.
Love you.
My feet hit the ground in the morning and I'm off. So I sit down to watch some TV at night and I'm asleep. I'm all or nothing, people. All or nothing.
Belinda Wiggins, instead of using textured paste, can you use sheetrock mud instead?
I would recommend using acrylic caulking rather than sheetrock mud, because sheetrock mud is more brittle. It's not designed to flex, it's designed to be on a rigid surface. You'll know, like sometimes if you're in a house and you see where the house is settled and you'll see like a crack, that's because your mud is brittle, it's rigid, and it's designed that way because that's how you want it for a wall, but it's not how you want it for paper crafts. You want to be able to bend something without it popping off. Acrylic latex caulking, or even silico caulking, but the acrylic latex is nice because you can paint it or tint it with your acrylic paints. That is perfect substitute for texture paste or for stencil paste.
Okay, Shelley M. I'm wondering about a master list of card mixed media techniques to put together a reference booklet. I think this would help when facing a loss of mojo. Thanks in advance for any advice.
Shelley, I think if you went to Split Coast Stampers, they have a section, and I think it's called downloads, and they have like, people have made some amazing like spreadsheets. They'll have like technique spreadsheets. They'll have like cross-referencing color spreadsheets. They'll have lists of sentiments to use for cards and scrapbook pages. So just go to Split Coast Stampers, check out the download section, and you will not be for loss of things to do, because you'll find all sorts of lists. You can print them off, and it's all stuff that people have just done out of the kindness of their own. Yes, people are just like, oh, this is my cross-reference list of sentiments, and they'll put it up, or here's some greeting card ideas. And yeah, it's really neat.
Because I haven't. I mean, I've been there and done a couple of tutorials and stuff, but I never noticed that.
Oh, I love Split Coast. Just the forums are so,
There's a lot going on to.
Yeah, but so many good resources. And they also have, in their resources section, they have so many card tutorials, and a lot of them are like those fancy folds, or like really, I don't want to say quick and easy, but they're complex looking, but then when you actually see how you do it, it's like, oh, that's just 3 folds and a cut. You know, it's like, wow, that's lots of cute little favor boxes and things like that. So if you ever, that's a great place to go if you're, you know.
Need mojo.
Yeah, it's better than Pinterest because you have instructions and you're not going to go down the rabbit hole of like
it's reliable instructions that you know. Known instructors.
Yeah, people are really, I think people are very nice over there. There's no drama. Well, I don't know, I haven't seen any drama over there. It's a great resource, so.
Multi-Crafter 1. Welcome home. I've been experimenting with 1-stroke acrylic paints and would like to do some painting on t-shirts and jeans. Any advice? Appreciate what to do and what not to do. Thanks.
All right, I would recommend jeans are pretty good because they're pretty stiff and stable. You shouldn't need to stretch them over anything. For a t-shirt, you'll want to get like a piece of cardboard, and you can just hit your recycling bin. You want to stretch it over something so it will hold the fabric taut while you paint. You can use your regular acrylics for painting on the clothes. I would suggest you get a bottle of, I might even have some, a fabric medium. Here it is, textile medium. This is the Delta Ceram Coat textile medium, and I really like the Delta Ceram Coat products because they're very consistent, and they're not the cheapest, but they're not the most expensive. This was like $6.49, but it's 8 ounces, and I've had this for probably 10 years, so it's not like you're going through it. And that will help your paint flow, and it will add a little bit of flexibility to the paint. So like if you're stretching this on over your head and you stretch the shirt, your paint's not going to crack and flake off, and that's generally what would happen if you didn't use the textile medium. But there are other brands that make it. I think Folk Art would probably be another reliable brand that makes it, but I've used the Ceram Coat, and that works really well. So that's pretty much it. Stretch the fabric nice and tight and just add a little textile medium to your paint and go for it. You're also going to need brushes that are a little bit stiffer than your general tool painting brushes, but you can get those right at the craft store. They're called fabric painting brushes. They'll work just like your tool painting brushes, except the bristles might be a little bit shorter so they don't bend so much, so they can really release the paint onto the fabric instead of dragging.
Set as well.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea, to press it, put a little pressing cloth on there and heating it to set it. But acrylic generally does not come off your clothes once it's dry.
Unfortunately, as the case may be.
Okay, Twinkle Toes today has a question about sealing oil pastels in an art journal. I always end up with some of the pastel on the opposite page once the book is closed. A few pages have been ruined because of the transfer. Is there anything I can do to prevent this?
Yeah, there's a couple things you could do. What are you laughing at?
What did I do?
I'm sorry, I just want to say don't use pastel.
Well, that is a good tip.
I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, you could.
I'm tired.
Probably the best solution so that you didn't damage your art would be to take a little piece of deli paper or glassine and just tape it, make a little hinge with some washi tape it to the edge of the page so you can lift up the glassine and look at your page.
Yeah. Great idea.
Because that shouldn't stick to the deli paper or the glassine because it's got a little bit of a waxed surface. And it shouldn't rub or smudge anything. It should just lay there. That's what they do to protect artwork in storage before it can get framed. You could try spraying it with some hairspray. The hairspray shouldn't change the color of oil pastels like it does chalk pastels. But then again, anything you add on top of your work as a fixative does, run the risk of having some acid to it. You could go and buy workable fixative or artist fixative if you're worried about the acid. But I still don't think I would want it pressed against another piece of artwork. I think the glassine's the best solution to protect both pieces of artwork that would be facing each other in the art journal. And plus it will look cool. You can even decorate that glassine with some strips of washi tape and make that part of your interactive art journal. So that would be my my suggestion, or don't use oil pastels. Oh, that's a long one.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, I need that paper afterwards.
Oh, afterwards? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I'm gonna do a tutorial on that after, I think it's one of those questions that needs a little bit more than a quick answer.
Okay, this is from Fleur de Lis. I'm desperately searching for a marker pencil gel stick that works well with clear stamps. I had a set of Reeves sketch pens that doubled up as portable stamp pads for rubber stamps, but they seem to bead up on the clear polymer stamps. I'm not really a stamper, would not like to invest in stamp pads for the meager amount of stamping that I do. I Would like something that I could use as a stamp ink as well as a drawing painting tool. I understand that Gelato's gel sticks work on clear stamps, but after watching your review, I'm not so sure. Are there any markers, crayons that will do the job?
Okay, so this is one of those things, I'll grab that. I think this needs I'm going to do a tutorial on how to use the markers on it's the cheap clear stamps that tend not to work well with inking up with markers because the ink beads. So by inking it up with a clear ink pad, which contains glycerin, it gives you kind of like a thick binder that will hold the ink to the stamp instead of just making it bead up. That's why pigment ink works good.
I have some ink pads that don't work on them.
Ink it with Versamark first, or your clear ink, and then ink it up in that. And it's just because it needs to thicken up. That's why pigment ink works better on those cheap clear stamps, the cheaper ones, not the high quality ones that work with everything, but the cheaper like silicone stamps. That just helps thicken the ink so it will stick. So I think I'll do a tutorial on that. I did not have any luck using Gelatos with clear stamps. They're too slick, and the stamps are too slick, and they don't stick. And I don't know why they package clear stamps with those. I've tried it several times, and they just don't want to stick to that. The clear stamps are tricky. I think I would do the maybe you could do even some gouache, maybe mix out some gouache and then tap it on there with a paintbrush. But I think if you ink it up with a clear ink pad and then use your markers on top, your regular water-based markers, they should work.
I was trying to think. There's somebody that's been doing tutorials with the Gelato, and I can't remember her name, of course. I should know it. And I was just wondering what she done, because she must have shown it, because she's been showing a bunch of different things. I'll have to look for it.
I think when they do stamp with the Gelatos, they're not getting the best image either. It's very spotty.
Well, I think that's what.
It's a cool texture. It's a cool texture, but it's not really a good image.
Like
crisp image.
Rubber stamping as we think of it.
Yes. Yeah, so I'll do a tutorial on that. It might even be up by the time this video airs, so if it is, I'll try to remember to put a link on there. empty promises. Empty promises over here.
Okay, Di Massey says, I'm just starting a blog and I would love to know how you prefer to set up your videos. From above, from a slant, any insight would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, I'll see if I can turn my camera around just so you can see where I film for my tutorials. Excuse this, hope you took your Dramamine today. There we go. So I have a stick attached to the ceiling. Hopefully you can see that there. It's got lights hooked to it. If you see that purple thing right there, that's a piece of lumber. It's attached to the ceiling joist up there with a couple screws. I don't have it touching the ceiling because I don't want, when my kids run down the hallway, I don't want it to shake my camera, and that happens more often than you'd think. And then I put some shelf liner around the bottom of this stick, and that way when I put my camera on, my camera's obviously recording this, but say this is my camera, I have it like that, and then I wrap this, it's part of an exercise band that I have sewn Velcro to either end, and I wrap it around there, and I latch it in with a Velcro, and that I haven't dropped it once, it hasn't slipped, so that works really well for me, and that allows me to shoot straight down to my table. If you look there, you'll see that my mat where I work, and that's worked really well for me in shooting my videos. I just came up with that solution in June. So before that, I had it on a tripod and I worked upside down for the most part, and this is way better than working upside down, I think. Anyway, we might have time for one more question. Do we have a short question? Does anyone have one ready?
Yeah, I think so. Terry Rodriguez. Here's my question. What is your favorite place or store to go shopping, non-crafting store, to buy any craft item? I like to buy items where I don't have to go to Michael's or AC Moore or even Hobby Lobby. So where do you girls go?
Oh boy, well they probably don't have a Martin's to shop at.
Oh, really?
Martin's, go to Martin's. Yeah, Martin's is fun, but that's a regional thing. We don't have those
Hardware
anywhere.
store.
Harbor Freight. I like Harbor Freight.
Oh yeah.
Hardware
definitely.
store. Dollar store. I go to the dollar store a lot.
Grocery store. Sometimes you can find some cool things.
I really like the dollar store because sometimes I got these for 99 cents at the dollar store. I got wine glasses that I'm going to paint for a project. I got these pom-poms for kids crafts. I like the dollar store quite a bit for
Yeah.
and yard sales and thrift stores and
Yeah.
wherever I see something that I think
Places like Target and Marshalls, that are those kind of discounted places, they
yes.
get some interesting crafty stuff in there.
they do.
A lot of times.
They do. Well, on that note, we're just about out of time. I want to thank you so much for stopping by. Please leave your questions below. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe. And until next time, happy crafting.